The Passenger Above the Shelf by Chris Pope. Sometimes when the day stretches too long, when work runs late, the kids are arguing and the dishes pile higher than they should, I slip out to the garage. It's the one place in the house that feels like mine. Not because it's clean or organized, it isn't, but because it's quiet. There's a kind of peace in the smell of oil and dust and the way old tools seem to hum with memory. I've spent enough hours out here to know every creak of the floor, every uneven patch of the concrete. It's where I go when the rest of the world feels a little too loud. Some nights, when sleep won't come, I sit on the floor beside the workbench and let the stillness soak in. I keep the lights dim, just a single bulb overhead. Sometimes I take something small to help the noise in my head settle, a shortcut to calm, a way of blurring the edges enough that I can hear my own thoughts again. That's how it started, the night I heard the hum. It wasn't loud, but it filled the room the way fog fills air, everywhere at once, without direction. I felt it first through the floor, a low vibration that rose through my legs and spine, until it lived in my chest. It wasn't mechanical, it wasn't electricity, it was movement. The garage began to change. The light dimmed, but not in any ordinary way. It was as if air thickened, as though I were deep underwater and watching illumination bend. The walls flexed gently like the hull of a ship pushing through calm tide. My shelves swayed almost imperceptibly. The tools hanging from the hooks gave off a soft metallic rattle, a language too slow to hear. And then, in the far corner above the built-in shelf that held old paint cans, dusty Christmas decorations, and a box of things I hadn't touched in years, something stirred. I didn't see it directly. You don't see things like that. You feel them. The air in the corner changed, thickened, almost pressing inward. There was the sound of a shelf creaking under weight that wasn't really weight, and then a sigh. It was a tired sound, familiar somehow. And then I knew it had been there before. Not just that night, but on others, many of them. All the evenings I'd come out here seeking quiet, muttering to myself, tinkering with broken things just to stay busy. It had been watching from that corner, from the seam where its world brushed against mine. I don't know how I knew that, but I did. The hum deepened, the air pulsed with rhythm, steady, deliberate, like the breath of something immense. My garage no longer felt attached to the house, or even the ground. It was a chamber, a compartment, part of something moving through unseen depths. When the voice came, it wasn't through my ears. It was something behind them, felt more than heard. Still moving, it said. The tone was weary, like an old traveler talking to itself. Rough layers tonight. I swallowed and found my voice. You're traveling? Your space crosses mine, it replied. For you, it's a room. For me, a compartment. I rest here when the vessel shakes. The words carried no threat, only fatigue. Whatever it wasn't dangerous, just tired. The kind of tired that seeps through centuries. The walls creaked again softly. The jar of screws on the shelf trembled. The floor beneath me seemed to rise and fall as though we were drifting together in some slow, endless sea. How long have you been traveling? I asked. Since before your world had names for time. There was no pride in the voice, no mystery for its own sake, only the weight of having been too long in motion. And then quieter, I've seen you. You hum while you work. You talk to yourself. You don't know how loud you are across the folds. I sat very still. It was strange to realize something had been here all along, quietly sharing my solitude. I thought of all those nights I'd sat here in silence, never knowing that silence was being listened to. Somehow, that made the space feel warmer, not colder. I like the sound, it said finally, and the words hung in the air like an afterthought, like a kindness. The hum shifted then, the way a ship might shift course. The walls strained against a pressure I couldn't name. You shouldn't be awake for this, it murmured. Your kind isn't built for the in-between. The air shivered once, and I felt the change begin. The room lightened, the vibration dulled, the shelves steadied, and just like that, the hum was gone. The garage returned to itself. The smell of oil, the cold of the floor, the faint tick of the cooling light bulb. Everything ordinary, exactly where it had been, but the air above the shelf was still warm. I sat there for a long time, not moving, afraid that if I blinked or stood too soon, I'd break whatever thin thread of awareness was left. I thought about the being, about its endless voyage, about how by chance my quiet refuge had become its resting place. The world outside the garage was still spinning. The kids would wake early, the bills would still need paying. The day would still come rushing in, but for now, there was only stillness, and somewhere, unseen, a traveler continued on through the dark. Sometimes, when I sit out there late at night and close my eyes, I still think I can feel it, the low hum beneath the concrete, the faint rhythm of something immense passing by. I don't know what it is. I don't think I'm supposed to. But sometimes, when the world feels too heavy, I whisper into that corner, just in case it's still listening. Rest while you can.